Viewers, should any institution of the Indian state be incentivizing the flow of illegal immigrants into India? What attracts illegal immigrants? Viewers, an easy environment, a permissive environment, allowances, the surety of a state that is welcoming. And therefore, viewers, the answer to the question is no. It's an obvious no. If you want to know why, just look at Europe. The soft state there, infiltrated by woke progressive policy makers, made it so attractive and easy for illegals to stay on and leech the government, the taxpayer that is, that they began arriving by the boat and truckloads. Today, most European countries are being overrun by illegal immigration that is now threatening to erode the demography, social value, and the local culture. Crime is at an all-time high. Look at Spain. The state is burdened by massive cost of housing and feeding the illegals, and valid citizens are not getting jobs. Look at the United Kingdom. Look at Italy. Look at Greece. Look at Sweden. We don't want the Indian state to make the same mistake as that made by these European countries. And that's why a massive debate has broken out today after the Supreme Court suddenly admitted a PIL, a public interest litigation, demanding that Rohingyas be given state benefits. Yes, viewers, this PIL was filed on behalf of Rohingyas. It called upon the Supreme Court to order benefits for Rohingyas, give free education, healthcare to Rohingyas and their families, give SOPs irrespective of citizenship status. And this PIL was filed by an advocate called Colin Gonzalez. Not only has the Supreme Court admitted the plea, but it was so apparently moved by the PIL's demands that it has in principle agreed to giving admission to Rohingya children in government schools and even considering free hospital care among other benefits for Rohingya families. In fact, the Supreme Court has been so generous that it has even agreed that Rohingyas should be exempted from the purview of all legal rules that deny illegal citizen state benefits. So in India, viewers, if you don't have an Aadhaar card and other documentation that certifies your status as a bona fide Indian citizen, you can't get any state handouts. But the Supreme Court says, and I quote, in terms of education, there is no question of discrimination. Every child will get admission. You have raised the issue of education, but we don't mind taking up the issue of health also. But we must first satisfy that how are they Rohingyas living, where are they living, and is it in the public domain that these families are living? This information will help us, unquote. Basically, they want to identify where these people are living so that they can be accommodated. The irony is that the Supreme Court seems to be keen on allowing for the state to shower sops on Rohingyas, who are not Indian citizens. Illegally, they are present in our country, viewers. And they want these people to be accommodated on the day when the Supreme Court pulled up politicians for promising reveries or freebies to Indian citizens, saying that these sops are creating parasites. Yes, viewers. So on the one hand, let's be permissive of Rohingyas. Let's give them education. Let's give them beds in hospitals. And on the other side, no, we should not be giving our own citizens any reveries, any incentives, because you see they're turning into parasites. I'll quote the Supreme Court double bench. Rather than promoting them to be a part of the mainstream of the society by contributing to the nation's development, are we not creating a class of parasites? Unfortunately, because of these freebies, which just on the anvil of elections are declared, like Ladki Bahin and other schemes, people are not willing to work, unquote, viewers. Now, I'm not for freebies, so don't take this as me sort of endorsing it. I'm only bringing out the I don't know if I can call it double standards, but certainly an unequal standard. Think about it, viewers, as if there is a shortage of seats and beds in government hospitals and schools. Under the circumstances, is it therefore desirable that the few vacancies are handed to illegal immigrants? Under Indian laws, Rohingyas are illegally awaiting deportation. These illegals are awaiting deportation under Indian law. If one state institution decides to put them on par with Indian citizens, the consequences could be disastrous, legally, financially, demographically. If a certain ecosystem is so keen on tending to illegals, why doesn't it set up soup kitchens and housing on its own dime, rather than burdening the taxpayer, viewers? Viewers, let me quickly put out the official position of the NDA government on Rohingyas. The NDA said they're illegal. And this is the reply in Parliament. And I'll quote it. Though India is not a signatory to the 1951 UN Convention relating to the status of refugees and the 1967 protocol thereon, its track record in dealing with or providing protections to refugees has been internationally acclaimed. The Rohingyas have entered into the country without having valid travel documents, and therefore they are covered within the ambit of the definition of illegal migrants, defined under Section 21B of the Citizenship Act 1955. So viewers, they are deemed illegal. The SC stand prompts some basic questions, and I'll bring them up for you, and you can, viewers, go through some of them. They'll be on the screen. Should Rohingyas be treated at par with Indian citizens and given a share of state benefits? Won't giving benefits to illegals encourage more illegal immigration into India? Are parties that are supporting the SC verdict putting illegals at par with Indians? Are they doing that? Let's open this up, viewers, because there are some fundamental questions tonight. And there will be enough people who say, oh, have a heart, Mr. Shivshankar, etc., etc. You know, how can you grudge this, that, the other section of our society their little benefits? So, Dr. Ranganathan, let me bring you in. This is a big development. This is a big development that we're hearing from the Supreme Court. Where do you stand on this? Because fundamentally, I have nothing against the poor Rohingyas. You know, I'm sure they're quite destitute. They're in a bad situation. We must all collectively empathize with them, and we all do. But the point is, you make it comfortable for them. There are others looking over the borders saying, hey, everyone gets a nice little deal here. Let's go to India. Let's all land up.
No, of course. But I think, Rahul, good evening to you and to my fellow panelists. I think, seriously, the time has come for us to be honest about the way the Indian state conducts itself. I think the time has come for the government to take away our citizenship. Honestly, I think that will be the right thing to do. As it is, we are being constitutionally, legally, socially, educationally discriminated against. So why keep up with this pretense that we are equal citizens of this country? We can't approach the courts to reclaim our temples. Our temples are under government control. We are refugees in our own land. Our schools are forced to provide reservations. Our murderers are being felicitated and celebrated. Our festivals and ways of life is being regulated and adjudicated upon. So why this pretense? गर्व से कहो, हम तुम्हारे साथ discriminate कर रहे हैं, कहो ना. And as far as Rohingyas are concerned, look, I have no objection to legal refugees being provided basic facilities for a limited period. There are Afghan refugees. There are so many refugees from other countries as well. But now it has come to providing those facilities to even illegal Rohingyas. And this in a country where most Indian children are deprived of those very facilities, where there is a teacher shortfall of 19%, 1.1 million teacher vacancy, where 40% of rural schools do not have a functional toilet, where the pupil to teacher ratio can go higher than 60:1, where 150 million Indian children are out of school. Our judges want to spend our precious resources on illegal Rohingyas, but not on Indians. They talk of discrimination and the Right to Education Act. Well, talking of discrimination and the RTE, this is a state that has forced only Hindu-run schools to provide reservation to 25% economically weaker section children. Thousands of Hindu-run schools are being shut down because of this, but our judges are silent. Returning to the Rohingya issues now, Rahul, number of Rohingya refugees currently living in the USA, 5,000. Europe, 3,000. Jordan, 1,300. Indonesia, 1,200. Canada, 1,100. Japan, 560. Qatar, 20. India, 40,000. Qatar, an Islamic republic, has taken 20 Rohingyas. Jordan, Indonesia, other Muslim nations, 1,000 each. And India, 40,000. But hey, Muslim, anti-Muslim is Modi. India, a fascist Hindu Rashtra. And how many Bangladeshi Hindus have we let in over the last 6 months ever since the Hindu genocide in Bangladesh began? Zero. Remember how Indian Muslims united and indulged in Azad Maidan protests and riots to force the Indian government to take in Muslim Rohingya refugees from Myanmar? Well, it resulted in us ultimately taking in tens of thousands of Rohingya Muslim refugees. It's another matter that not one of them from the Indian Muslim community ever united to force the Indian government to settle 7 lakh Kashmiri Hindus who were driven out from their own homes. Anyhow, all Hindus remember Azad Maidan, but do we remember Khamong Sheikh, Rahul? We don't. It is a place in Myanmar where Muslim Rohingyas murdered more than 100 Hindus and their families mercilessly, raped, pillaged, even buried some alive. Many among those Rohingya Muslims who committed this atrocity might be right now in India as refugees. But as I said, no Hindu ever came out to talk about Khamong Sheikh. All we do is get jealous of Indian Muslims uniting for Rohingya Muslims, Palestinian Muslims, Lebanese Muslims. Rahul, if you are jealous of someone else's unity, it means you are divided. And I ask you finally 10 seconds. What kind of country is this where Kashmiri Hindus are forced to be refugees in their own land, where one can settle 40,000 Rohingya Muslims in India, 6,000 in Jammu and Kashmir, but not 7 lakh Kashmiri Hindus in Jammu and Kashmir, their land's original inhabitants? Every Indian refugee must be rehabilitated,
Yes.
and every illegal Rohingya refugee must be deported.
Well, let me tell you, viewers, this is also the same Supreme Court that lectures the government for not doing enough to get rid of illegals, but then wants to also feather their nests. I don't understand what is going on, actually. I'm very confused. And I'm not even making this a Hindu-Muslim issue, viewers. This is about Indian citizens of every stripe versus illegals. We have seen what's happened in Europe. We created such a permissive environment, the European state, Jayanand Dehadrai there, for illegals to come in, that they stayed on, they milked the state. In fact, in the United Kingdom, the government there in England had to put them up in lovely 3-star, 4-star, 5-star hotels at some instances because they don't know where to house them. And at the cost of depriving ordinary citizens housing. So there's a housing crisis. On top of that, you need to, keep these people there because your laws have been twisted in such a way to benefit this infiltration. Okay, yes, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Jay because it's his turn. I just wanted to, when you say it is not a Hindu-Muslim issue, I'm sorry, Rahul. It is a Hindu-Muslim issue. Has the Supreme Court adjudicated on how many harried Bangladeshi Hindus for the last 6 months must be rehabilitated in India? No. It only talks about Rohingya Muslims.
Well, okay. I mean, to be fair to the Supreme Court, it was addressing a PIL. Now, maybe you can file a PIL and get it to say whatever it has to. But, I'm just saying that at this moment in time, I'm not even looking at it from a sectarian lens. I'm just looking at it from an Indian citizen first lens. And I think we're all within our rights to ask the Supreme Court some questions. I mean, look, J. Anant Dehadrai, there are 1.3 beds per 1,000 people, hospital beds in state-run hospitals available. That's the ratio. It's much below the WHO ratio of 3 per 1,000 hospital beds. Now, you tell me, if you start giving, and remember this 40,000 figure that Dr. Ranganathan is talking about goes back to about 7 years. 13 okay, years, yeah. 7 years. And the government in that same affidavit which it filed in the parliament said, look, we don't know because these people are illegals. So we don't know how many are in our country. It's not 40,000. And we are now, if you go by the Supreme Court, J. Anant Dehadrai, and I don't even know if it's legal, they are saying do away with the basic, Aadhaar card requirement, etc., to get emoluments. So anyone and everybody.
No, hi Rahul, good evening. And Professor Ranganathan, Dr. Ranganathan is someone I have enormous respect for. And, when he speaks with a lot of, research and there's a lot of weight in what he says. I can't disagree with him. And I think he really hits the nail on the head when he says that there is a resource allocation problem at the root of it. That there is a resource crunch, whether we like it or not. Rahul, this is something that you also mentioned. And then on top of that, when your own Indian citizens are sort of struggling for their basic needs to be met, you have sort of the floodgates being opened. And you allow the floodgates being opened and you allow all sorts of illegal individuals who are, of course, not citizens and some of whom might even be miscreants looking to create trouble in India. But having said that, I think there is a small nuance that perhaps some of us have missed today in what the Supreme Court has done and which is something that I'd like to place before you and your viewers. which is this, that, I think the Supreme Court in its wisdom today has passed a somewhat interim order. And if you look at it from the lens of where the court is sitting, there are certain fundamental rights that would be available to everybody. And I think that is the greatness of India and Bharat. And, and the greatness of our constitution, of course, and the greatness of our Supreme Court, which enforces the constitution. So in that sense, now as an interim measure, look at what the court has said. It's very interesting. The oral observations that have come out and that have been reported, because I wasn't today in that particular court when the matter was taken up, so I've had to rely on some of the news reports that have come. The court has said that, look, accommodate these people, these children, give them some, they have to get education. And this is the stance that the government of India had also taken earlier. But the court has also said, and this is very, very interesting, it has asked the petitioner, Mr. Colin Gonsalves, who always seems to be, batting for these interests. I won't say anything more, lest I get into trouble if I say anything about, where his interests lie.
Oh, fine.
But the fact is,
he has his politics,
yes,
and he's entitled
but
to
the
it.
court,
Yeah.
But correct. But Rahul, the court has said, please give us the details of where these individuals are living and staying. So the point is that even the court, and kudos to the court, is cognizant of the fact that you have a large number
but
of
there is a problem
illegal
here.
individuals.
No, Mr.
who are
Dehad
staying
Rai,
in
there
our
is a
country.
problem.
Yes.
If you're waving aside, let's say, the basic identity requirement, then you can produce a whole bunch of people and say, look, these are the people.
It's a major, no, but Rahul,
So
I don't
you-
disagree entirely with you.
Yes,
You see, it
so
is a
that's
major
the problem. Now,
Because
my
what is the
problem
next
is it's
step?
not just about Rohingyas, you see. This sets a template. Now, I want to ask you a question. You say that,
may I just say-
no, hang on. I
Yes.
want to ask you this counter question. We are extremely aware of fundamental rights and all of that. I believe we are. We're a lovely, lovely, lovely country, which upholds everyone's fundamental rights. So I want to ask you, if a group of people are persecuted, for example, from a particular geography, and they exit that geography and they are expecting the state to at least rehabilitate them, would it make a difference if they were called victims of genocide or if they were simply labeled migrants under the law? If they were migrants, economic migrants, would they qualify for any emoluments? I don't think so, would they?
Well, I mean, it could be argued both ways, right? I mean, on the one hand, you'd say that economic migrants also are sort of, they're fighting for survival.
No, but there is no, hang on, just a minute. Now let me get specific. You see,
legal distinction.
look at
Is there a legal
the
distinction?
Kashmir. I'm
Yes.
looking at it from a very legal point of view. If you're not a
Correct.
victim, why do you deserve a handout? Right? Why do you deserve relief? You have to be designated a victim. Do you know, viewers, the Kashmiri Hindus who were externed from their homes are still called migrants in this country, as if they left because, someone was giving them a nice MNC job in some, campsite.
No, they are the
in
real
Jammu.
refugees. They are really the real.
Yeah,
They
so
were
they're
the
not called
original
that.
refugees.
They're not called that. They're called migrants. And you are
they were
telling me
being
that the
hunted.
Supreme
They were
Court
being
thinks
hunted
about
down.
fundamental rights? It threw out
but
petitions,
Rahul,
not
to be-
once,
you-
but
no,
twice.
but Rahul, to
for,
be fair.
No,
Look,
they were
to
filed
you-
by, no, I'm
you
not,
have to be fair about
I'm being
this.
very fair, sir. As a Kashmiri Hindu, you tell me, I go to court, right? And I say that, look, I haven't got justice. The court says, sorry, it's all time bound. But the Sikhs, for example,
Yes.
almost the same amount of time, in fact, more. They go,
Yes, more. Yeah.
and guess what, viewers? The court entertains. The court is now giving justice. So there is, let's be a little more cautious in, handing out certificates. I'm not here. I'm only looking at the bizarreness of it. So at one level, the Supreme Court says, and I want to bring in Lokesh Jindal. Lokesh Jindal, you're from the Congress. Subhrashtra is also there with us. And I want to ask you, in Jharkhand, I can't only blame the Supreme Court because there are political parties such as yours. In Jharkhand, the person who was running the campaign from your political party, the state in charge, you know what he did? In the manifesto, he came out and said that all illegals will be given state benefits like LPG, etc. Kyun bhai? Kyun, sir?
Rahul, because the Constitution under Article 21 requires or it entitles every individual, whether citizen or non-citizen.
Show me.
Read Article 21
No,
of the
show me.
Constitution.
Read it.
says
You read it.
No
You read
person.
it. No,
I'll
I'm
read it
asking
to
you.
No person.
The Constitution of India applies to Indians, not to illegals.
No.
Yeah.
Article 21 of the Constitution.
We the people, sir.
gives
Have you
a
forgotten?
fundamental
Who?
right.
The people of India.
No.
Okay.
You are grossly mistaken, Rahul.
Right.
We have lawyers in this panel and they shall agree. Article 21 of the
I disagree
He disagrees.
with Lokesh Jindal.
is
I
available
disagree
to
strongly.
both
Article
citizens
21, I'm
and
sorry,
non-citizens
doesn't mean
alike.
that free LPG cylinders should be given to illegals entering this country at the
No,
cost
no,
of not giving them to other Indian
let me complete.
people.
Let
So
me
please don't try and
complete.
extrapolate your ridiculous,
Let me
fanciful
complete.
assertions to the
Let me
Constitution
complete.
and certain articles of the Constitution. It doesn't
No,
apply in a
listen.
blanket manner in that way.
When
There is
we
a
are
nuance
talking
to it.
about Article
There is a
21,
nuance
Article
to it.
21A of the Constitution, it gives a fundamental right to every individual. It specifically states person, not citizen. You distinct it with Article 15 and Article 16 of the
So
Constitution, which
granting state
specifically
largesse,
says that the
granting
citizens
state largesse,
shall be
allowing
entitled
illegals
to
to enter into the country
non-discrimination.
and settle here,
But Article
is
21
not what Article
coupled with
21
Article
talks
45
about
of
at
the
all.
Constitution
Please go
has
back
to
and
be
read the
understood.
Constitution.
And every
I
children
think you're
from
reading the
age 6 to
Constitution of the
14,
Congress Party and
they
not the
are
Constitution of
entitled to
India.
primary education.
No,
Look,
sir. I'm stunned today, viewers. Then you
be
know what,
interpreted
viewers?
as
Hang on, just a minute, just a
Education
minute, just a minute,
in
just a
half a
minute,
second.
just a minute, viewers. You see, you're also entitled to have a free vote. Just tear up your voter IDs, your Aadhaars, everything. Just throw them out of the window. Because you're no different from an illegal. Maybe that's why Dr. Anand Ranganathan began by saying maybe we should just declare ourselves all illegals. We might actually benefit. Kuch aur mil jayega.
But you know,
Subhash,
Rahul, what worries
yeah.
me is that we have three exalted lawyers on the panel, and clients are watching these lawyers. And some of the clients might be telling the judge tomorrow, कि मैं लॉर्ड मैंने देख लिया लोकेश कैसे लड़ रहा है, मैं खुद लड़ लूंगा अपना केस. What is the theory out here? What is the logic? Does he mean to say that 50 million persecuted Shias from Pakistan should be allowed to come lock, stock and barrel to India? ये कहाँ से आ गया भाई? दरवाजे खोल दो, बॉर्डर छोड़ दो. सब लोगों को हमने ठेका ले रखा है पढ़ाने का.
Let me bring in Subhash on this. One second, sir, one second.
We are not a
I mean, call
signatory.
yourself a scientist,
Sir,
and you don't even know a logical, deductive argument. You
No, sir,
cannot even come
this
with
is not
any form of a
deductive. This is
basic
reductive.
reason.
This is a reductive, not a deductive argument. This is a reductive argument. Sir, please. I don't want to use another word that actually, at some level, is a simile.
Tell me a legal
At least
provision.
phonetically,
Does he even know anything
it is
about the
phonetically
Foreigners Act
similar.
1946?
One second. Let me
Do you
bring
know
in
on what
Subhash. Please,
basis
sir.
are you classifying
Sir, please, I beg you. I beg you, sir.
as
Why
legal or illegal
do we have
migrant?
jam? Viewers, why do we have jam? We have jam because, what is JAN? Aadhaar, mobile. Why do we have this? We have it so that the largest of the state goes to individuals who can open bank accounts. Now, viewers, I think you all know that to open a bank account in this country, you require Indian citizenship. Yes, you can do it as a foreigner, but then you cannot be illegal. You come in with a visa, you have certain documents to prove that you are earning money here, you've got a job here, etc., and you're entitled to receive funds and open an account. There is something called KYC. Now, viewers, we are now being told that it doesn't matter. You could be an illegal and you can get 5 kilos of dal, you can get everything. Yes, you can get it under some model, political model, where you want to actually make everyone happy. You can divert from PDS, you can steal from the godowns of the government's storage, etc. You can do all of that. And they do, viewers. So maybe the Congress is really confused. They don't know whether anymore what is right, what is legal, what is illegal. Jo bhi haath mein aata hai, de do. Kisi ka bhi ho, doesn't matter. Subhash, what do you make of this Supreme Court in principles stand? Yes, it's an interim order. It needs to be sort of fleshed out further. And I also have a problem because the government at some level, the AG has also come out and said, we don't have much of a problem. What is this virtue signaling all about?
Rahul, I'm slightly amused at the turn this conversation has taken because on the one hand, we don't want to support freebies by any political party. If you ask the Congress panelists today, you would say even we are against freebies in principle. But they have no qualms in misquoting one article of one subclause of our of one of the articles of our constitution to say that we can offer free LPG cylinder to illegal migrants. This is really bizarre. I think we really need to take a step back and see where are we headed in terms of debates in this country. We cannot have a mature conversation if we do not agree on the fundamental principle of whose side are you on? Are you on the side of legitimate citizens of this country, or are you on the side of this grander virtue signaling of we are for humanity, and in the garb of that you've been cultivating carefully curated vote banks in states after states, and this has been happening since a really long time. We have talked about Jammu and Kashmir on the panel. We know this is a reality in the Northeast India. We know that from Northeast India, the melee of illegal immigrants has really spread to the other corners of the country, including Jharkhand, including some parts of Bihar, including, of course, West Bengal. So, are we ready as a country of different political opinions to agree on certain principles? I don't even know if some of the political parties are okay and confident enough to articulate their very sympathies and empathies for the citizens of this country. Forget about anybody else. They can be humanitarian later. Talk about legitimate.
So let me ask you a pointed question before I bring in another lawyer, Tausif Khan. He's very erudite also, and I'm sure he'll contribute positively to this debate, and he'll bring in the nuance that you're demanding. I want to ask you, what is the meaning of this word Aadhaar? What does it mean in just general parlance? I'm not asking for the acronym. Just what does it mean in Hindi?
In Hindi, Aadhaar would mean the base on which we stand.
Right.
So which is why the fundamental question.
Now, why does therefore, now Subhrashta, a very common sense question. You see, Mr. Jindal says, sabko de do. State doesn't distinguish between anybody. Sabko de do, khol ke bhandar, khol ke, open your storage silos and give everybody, whoever you see, plug them with food. Fine, okay. So I want to ask you, Subhrashta, why do illegals, when they come into India, the chap who stabbed, for example, Saif, Khan, the actor, why was he running after trying to get an Aadhaar card? What does Aadhaar give you?
Aadhaar gives you a certain recognition. It makes you an Indian citizen.
Yes.
Aadhaar is the fundamental document.
It gives you an
Absolutely
entitlement.
wrong.
It gives you an entitlement, not a citizenship. It gives you an entitlement. One second, relax, Mr.
No, Rahul,
Jindal.
it's wrong.
It gives you an
Aadhaar
entitlement.
card has nothing to do with a claim for citizenship
No
status.
one is saying that. No one is
No,
saying that.
she
It gives you
rightly
an
stated.
entitlement, a basis to ask
I stand
for.
corrected.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
She stands
Lokesh.
corrected. Yeah, that's okay.
Yes.
It's the only
I
intervention.
stand corrected.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
So 1 second. So basically, viewers, it gives you the right to demand a fair share. You become a stakeholder. Without that, viewers, you can't get entitlements. It's very simple. Jam Trinity, the Jan Aadhaar mobile. Remember that. So now, if the Supreme Court says we don't even need to see your Aadhaar card and we'll give you a bed in hospital, Gangaram Hospital, or we'll give you a place in KV1 in RK Puram or whatever. Viewers, you don't even need to prove you're a Rohingya. That's the beauty of it. So I want to bring in the analyst, Tausif Khan. I want to ask you, should Rohingyas be treated at par or illegals be treated at par with Indian citizens and given a share of state benefits? A very straightforward question.
No, it's a very sorry state of affairs that BJP is promising, or promises at least, to treat them equally. You see, the Supreme Court today is criticizing the political parties' poll promises, the freebies that they are offering in terms of free ration or money or free gas, in the backdrop of the recently concluded Delhi election. Look at the BJP manifesto in Delhi election, Viksit Delhi Sankalp Patra. What does it say? It says that BJP has promised full ownership right to 1,700 unauthorized colonies, all refugee colonies. BJP has promised 2,500 rupees per month to women, 21,000 to pregnant women, plus 6 nutritional kit, gas cylinder at 500 plus, free gas on Holi and Diwali, paid maternity leave for up to 6. No, these are the freebies that the political parties are offering. And in
what has that got to do with this? What has that got to do with this?
Because
I'm asking you.
that is the question. That is the question
Which
the
question?
Supreme Court is asking.
No, but then the Supreme Court is saying, widen the ambit. Illegals ko bhi de do. No. From what I'm understanding, the Supreme... No, 1 second. No, 1 second. No, 1 second, sir. Please, Tausif Khan, I think you misunderstood the question. You see, we are in the wrong court right now. जो court 1 या 2 में हुआ था, you're confusing what happened in court 10. No, please, there is a wall between courts. Now,
are you saying that these are not the poll promises of BJP?
No, 1 second, sir. What is... 1 second, please.
Get the facts straight.
Okay. I think Tausif Khan, just hear my question. Maybe I'm not denying what you're saying, sir. These are all poll promises. Should I tell you what the TMC made? I'll give you the poll promises. Universal basic income for women. So, viewers, the TMC promised a minimum monthly income for all families, with 500 allocated to general category families, 1,000 to scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, OBCs, student credit card scheme, credit card offering up to 10 lakh with 4% interest rate, employment generation, creating 10 whatever, financial support to farmers, 6,000 to 10,000 under Krishak Bandhu scheme. And there are hundreds of these, viewers. In fact, even imams were given an emolument. So, look, I mean, every political party is into, we are not into the freebies argument. We are into the Supreme Court saying that it doesn't matter even if you're a citizen. If you're a Rohingya, an illegal, you are still entitled to some benefits. That's what has sparked the debate. Now, I don't think it's right. Others have different views. Dr. Ranganathan, you've raised your hand. Of course, our friend here has confused the issue even more, Mr. Tausif Khan.
No, but for the TMC supporter Tausif, giving monthly salaries for 8 years to imams and Maulvis is not freebie, it is welfarism. Jo Didi kare to wo welfarism hai, jo BJP kare to wo freebie hai. Behral, as you said, it's not an argument. I think there is a solution to this. The legal refugees, the Indian state take care of basic amenities. For the illegal refugees, I want the monthly salaries of all Supreme Court judges to be put into a box, and that money be used for them. Their houses be open for all the illegal refugees. 24 घंटे पे line पे आ जाएंगे.
So let me tell you, Dr. Ranganathan, this is exactly what I advocated in the last paragraph of my introduction. I said, if a certain ecosystem...
If I'm held in contempt, Jay is going to defend me.
Any day of the week, it would be an honor for me.
Okay, let me bring in...
I was disconnected. No, Rahul.
Yes,
I got disconnected.
Okay, so I just want to ask you, let me rephrase the question. Let me ask you, sir, should the Supreme Court be placing illegals at par with Indian citizens and giving illegals also some stake in the benefits pie? Simple question, sir. Nothing confusing here.
Supreme Court is not placing illegal at par with the legal.
Okay.
Supreme Court is criticizing the political party for placing illegals at par with the legal. Who is making promises for a full ownership right of 1,700 unauthorized colonies? It is BJP.
Yeah.
In the Delhi poll election, they have made these promises. Okay. Who is promising these freebies? Is it Supreme Court making
by the way, Khan Saab, giving someone an illegal colony legal status is not a freebie. They will be then brought under the tax net. They will have to pay housing tax. They will have to pay water
free
bills.
Gas.
No, what are you saying, sir? You're picking the wrong example. 1 second, Mr. Khan. 1 second. I'm not defending anybody. 1 second. Just 1 second. Let's not get distracted by this noise box. 1 minute. Supreme Court quotes Rohingya. 1 minute. Just 1 second, sir. No, I'm not, sir. I'm not. I beg your indulgence. I'm not, sir. I'm defending today the TMC that gave Maulanas a stipend.
But
I'm defending them. I'm defending the TMC that gave women money. I'm defending the TMC that gave basic income. I'm defending the TMC. I'm not defending the BJP. I'm defending the Congress that wants to give illegal Rohingyas gas cylinders. They must do it. Because viewers, if I don't defend them, it won't be a balanced debate. This is how, I'm sorry, asinine this argument is. Now, 1 minute. I just want to read what the Supreme Court has said. Subrashta is also there. 1 second. In terms, 1 second, sir. Okay, give me 2 minutes, sir, please. You made a very, very emphatic point, but not made the point that is relevant to the question that was asked. So it's a point that has been made in a completely different time-space continuum. It's okay. I understand. People do get spaced out by my questions. In terms of education, there is no question of discrimination. This is what the Supreme Court has said on the PIL file before it, asking the Supreme Court to legitimize free education in government schools and admission in hospitals for Rohingyas and their families. Now listen, this is what it says. In terms of education, there is no question of discrimination. Every child will get admission. You have raised the issue of education, but we don't mind taking up the issue of health also. Usko bhi jod diya. But we must first satisfy that how are they, Rohingyas, living, where are they living, and is it in the public domain that these families are living? This information will help us. Now, viewers, if a state can't even find these people tomorrow, and you are saying that we don't even require to see Aadhaars anymore, then anyone can come and say, I'm a Rohingya, and Mr. Gonzalez will produce a lengthy list, which will include perhaps some members of the ARP, which have also lost the election. They'll
Rahul,
all come and they'll say, give us state benefits. There'll be a lot of that.
If I may just point something
please,
out,
go ahead,
in Delhi,
please.
factually speaking, we had 10 years of this ridiculous Aam Aadmi Party government with Kejriwal at the helm. So insofar as the Rohingyas who have entered Delhi is concerned, or even insofar as the ones who've taken shelter in West Bengal, are concerned, I think it was in the interest of the governments there, the political parties who are in control, both the Aam Aadmi Party and the TMC, it suited them to have these illegal migrants come in basically and then, add to their vote bank. I think that is what is at the heart of it.
Yeah.
But the Supreme
So
Court,
it's okay.
unfortunately...
See, I have no problems. If these gentlemen and ladies who have such bleeding hearts, if they really want to look after, as I said in my own introduction, I said if a certain ecosystem is so keen on tending to illegals, why doesn't it set up soup kitchens at its own cost?
No, absolutely.
And
I just
housing
want to say one thing.
on their own dime, rather than burdening the taxpayer.
Yes, this so-called NGO, Professor Ranganathan, this is interesting. This so-called NGO that, for example, Mr. Colin Gonzalez represented today in court, exactly to what the both of you have said, that why don't you set up a charitable school, an NGO, or a school where you provide, where it isn't a burden on the Indian state.
In fact, he might win the Magsaysay Award for that, and it will be something that will be fitting. Mr. Kejriwal also won it. Very quickly, yes, I want to move on. Doctor,
But this is the ingenious trap that, these so-called liberals and bleeding hearts, they lay out. Because you, Jay, Shubhrashtra, me, we are also tremendously sympathetic about the victims.
Yes.
But there is a question here of whether our meager state resources should be distributed towards illegals. That's the question.
I mean, the fact is, viewers, that, we have bleeding hearts, but let's take care of our own. The indigent who can't manage even to send their children, let alone anything, to school. Because there are no places for them. There are no schools. उसमें भी आप किसी और को देना चाहते हैं who are not even Indian citizens, a problem. That's all we are saying. Supreme Court might want to think about it. Let's move on, viewers.